Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us in our fourth Niagara's Road to Recovery series. My name is Denise Potter, and I am the Executive Director of the West Lincoln Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of our Niagara Chamber Partnership, which includes Fort Erie, Grimsby, Lincoln, Niagara Falls, Niagara-on-the-Lake, Niagara Board of Trade and Commerce, or BORL, Fort Coburn, Wainfleet, Welland, Pelham, and West Lincoln Chambers, I'm very pleased to be able to bring you our fourth event in our Niagara's Road to Recovery series, this one on the manufacturing sector. Our panelists for this morning's discussions are Ken Luchison, Walker Industries, Lise Moreau, International Sew-Rite, and Murray Bain with Stampak. You'll find these conversations to not only be interesting and informative, but they will also allow us all to reflect on what we have gone through over these past 16 months and to look forward to what opportunities lie ahead. I do want to thank our tech sponsor, Brian LaChapelle with B4 Networks, and extend our thanks and appreciation to John Armstrong from Armstrong Communications, a longtime champion for our local chambers, for taking on the role of moderator during this entire series. So without further delay, I'll turn it over to John. John?
Thank you, Denise, and welcome everybody. This is going to be an interesting discussion today for Niagara's Road to Recovery in the manufacturing sector. I think something that's going to be a little bit different than what we've heard previously is that a number of these organizations are also have facilities. I don't think, Lise, you do, but you certainly sell in other parts of the country, and I know that both Stampak and Walker Industries have other facilities in other parts of the country and in North America. So getting an understanding of what business has been like for them is what we're over the course of the pandemic, and then what you see into the future is what we're here to discuss. So Murray, why don't we actually start with you? Tell us a little bit about, actually, just to start it off, maybe you could tell us a little bit about Stampak, and then tell us what how's business been through the pandemic.
Sure, thanks, John. Well, Stampak's a manufacturing company in West Lincoln, so in West Niagara, and primarily we manufacture ice cream packaging. That's the majority of our business. So a lot of containers and lids and various packaging components for ice cream. We also do a lot of glass bottles for milk, and also printing on glass bottles for spirits and wine and beer and other food products. So pretty much in the food industry. And what a year and I guess year and a half it's been. Quite the ride for Stampak. I remember everything changing so quickly. That was, way back when things were shut down, we expected maybe 2 or 3 weeks and things would get back to normal. And here we are all these months later and still going through the same thing. The world really changed for our company and for everyone. And I feel so badly for so many businesses around us that have, either been shuttered or back and forth. And it's terrible for the community and for individuals that'll have to reinvent themselves or start over. That was not our case at all. It was full steam ahead. Again, making food packaging. One of the things that changed, restaurants were shut, universities and campuses were shut. Many of those take a different type of packaging, that's bulk and served in many servings. And now everybody went to the grocery store and they were buying ice cream. Ice cream is also a comfort food. So in times of, now we can say times of pandemic as well, but usually in financial downturns and in times of crisis, ice cream sales go up quite a bit.
Wow.
So that was a big change. And our customers would keep running out, and we'd have to get more and more packaging. So it's been a challenge to keep up. It's a good challenge, but quite a challenge. The other thing, on our fluid milk side of our business, on the glass bottles, many of our customers have been doing home delivery for decades. And all of a sudden, the home delivery, grocery stores didn't know how to do that. So they had to learn how to do that as well. But many of our customers on that side of the business also grew overnight. And again, it was a challenge because things kept changing. So it's been crazy.
Yeah. So Lise, in International Sew Right, why don't you tell us a little bit about what your organization does and how business for you has been through the pandemic?
International Sew Right started back in 1983 with my mother. She founded the company, married a man. They did business together. And long into the story, my background's nursing, and I'm president and owner of the company today. Been here for over 30 years. We manufacture and custom design safety clothing, and we do for men and women and have for years. So when I hear people talking about, oh, we make it for women, we've been making for women. So we take pride in what we do. We do custom design as well. We do have a CAD department here. We're small but mighty. And there isn't anything we can't do with a woven fabric with the people and the staff that we have here. If it's for large orders, we have partnered with other manufacturing across Canada and the United States. We are penetrating Mexico now. We've gone into India as well as Brazil for exporting, and we're looking into Bangladesh right now. That's one of the main things with the pandemic when it came. We started looking to export more. We were always told as a manufacturer, you should have more than a handful of companies within your country and then have others that branch out. That way you have a little more that you can fall back on. The other thing we've done is with partnering with the other companies, we were able to fulfill our customers' orders because we don't have minimum orders here. We try to work with the customers, and we've made calls and said, with what's happening, how can we work with you to help you?
So has business increased or suffered through the pandemic for you?
We're down at right now about 23%, but we're still holding our own. We've been fortunate to land certain products we need at a reasonable price prior to the pandemic coming. So that's held us through because a lot of companies out there are going, we can't get the fabric, we can't get the zippers, we can't get, and we're holding our own and we're getting more companies that way, but they're not used to paying the Canadian dollar. They're used to paying the import. You know, something that costs $10 there is going to cost 40 here or 30. And when you tell them what you pay for the fabric, they're like, but I pay less than that for the product from Europe or from China or whatever. So it's been a tug of war throughout the years, but what we're known for is our quality. And we repair what we do to help them too. So if they get an employee that rips their pant and they need it to wear the next day, we can usually repair them the same day. Here you go, and we just build a company for the repair. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
Has your customer profile changed through the pandemic?
Yes, many have. Same with us. Where they used to share the aluminized clothing or the welder's jackets or the arc flash that we make, they now have to buy one for each person. So they're looking for better pricing. They're looking for ways to partner better with companies. The large ones that we deal with, they've been telling us that because they're not ordering you the way they have in the past, they're being penalized by their distributors. How can we work with them? And we tell them there's no minimums. We'll do this, this, and this. So now we're being given an opportunity as coming in another way because we don't have those set menus that are strict and have to be adhered to. We've always bent over backwards to see how we can work with them. And they're enjoying it. They're saying, we've heard what you've done in the past for others. We're glad you're on board with us today. So it has benefited us. What some of the other companies have said is, and we've helped them out, they need masks and stuff for their employees, and they're opening and they don't have the money. That's not a problem. We've already donated over 32,000 today, masks for free. And how can we help? If I have fabric back there and they're stuck, it's like, do yourself a favor, work with your neighbors. And I've always agreed to that. So, and that's part of our parcel here and what we do.
Nice. So Ken, Walker Industries, I know, I think, do you look after the quarries division? Is that the division that you look after? Why don't you tell us a little bit about Walker and what you do and how business has been?
Well, welcome everybody, and welcome to all the businesses and all the participants that are watching here from Niagara. At Walker's, I look after the aggregates in the construction, and obviously we have three pillars or three divisions at Walker's, and I have two peers. We're obviously in the waste management and resource recovery business, as many people in Niagara know, and we're also in specialty chemical as well, and for building material, mainly for building materials. We are coast to coast, and we have two operations, manufacturing facilities in the U.S. So this has been a real adventure for us, managing the pandemic, because of all the rules are different geographically. So it's been a bit of a challenge with 1,200 employees as well. I would say for our business in general, it's been surprising to us on how busy we have been. We've been deemed essential, and we've been fortunate that way. But that sounds great sometimes, but it also raises many challenges with workers or who decides what projects are essential. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind, and we've had to adapt really quickly, like most businesses that have been working. And I really do feel for the businesses that haven't. We're fortunate, and so our employees appreciate that as well, that they've been fortunate that we've all been able to work. So many challenges, and one of the big key things is we get advised on the rules, like everybody else, and then right away, which many people would think is the employees think that we have a plan, and we're learning at the same time they do when we watch the news or get an announcement from the government. And then they say, okay, now what do we do? And so we have to say, give me a minute here to figure this out. But those are the challenges that we have.
Yeah. So have you? Is there one part of the country or North America, I guess, in your various operations that are being that are doing better than other parts?
I'd say across the board, we've all been fortunate and done better than expected. However, the business makeup has changed. Infrastructure, usually when the economies things get tough in the economies, governments usually invest in infrastructure. But as we all know, housing and development we thought would stop, and it's going crazy. So demand has been unbelievable. On our waste side of the business, even though the institutional waste has declined significantly because of the pandemic and restaurants and things like that, residential waste, because everybody's at home cleaning up, or leaf and yard waste has gone through the roof. So it's been a dynamic change for how we in our business, but we've been fortunate. So I kind of refer to it as we've got a diverse portfolio. So when one part of the business sector is bad, another part picks up. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. So Murray, when you said that ice cream's a comfort food, and so in bad times sales go up, which I think is really fascinating. Have you had supply chain problems? I know Lee's talked about supply chain problems. We know supply chain's a huge issue. Have you faced supply chain problems?
Not yet today, but every other day. It happens quite often. And what we are seeing, and I believe Lee's mentioned it a little bit too, inflation. Raw material supplies are going up. Corrugated, for example, about 3 increases, 8 to 10% each time over the last few months. Resins, due to the south freezing up, there's been shortages, and that hasn't caught back up yet. So yes, it does, and our lead times have lengthened just because of the increased demand. So, paper, we used to purchase our paper board from one supplier. We're using 3 or 4 now just because the one is at capacity. One of the things that happened as well on the food service side of the business, which we've mentioned kind of disappeared, we have a facility in New Jersey that primarily makes coffee cups and takeout packaging. Well, that declined between 70 and 80%. So we've really had to live on both sides of the table that way. But what happened is some mills, because coffee cups are hot, takeout packaging decreased so much, they shut down some mills, limiting capacity, which was too much in order to supply the regular products. So it's been a big balancing act.
Yeah. So Lise, have you felt as well as some supply chain challenges? Have you felt prices going up on the inflation side? And I guess the question is, are you passing that through to your customers? Do you see inflation being something that's going to settle down, or do you see it as something that may be here for a while?
I think it'll be here for a while yet. We probably have, I'm seeing another year to a year and a half of this happening, especially with the shipping costs. I find with my fabrics and some of the other products, they have increased some because of the shipping fees. And we used to cost $20 to bring a roll of fabric in. It's now $120. That's significant. And I can't see why it's escalated to that degree, but we have spoken to our customers about it, and we've said we will hold what we can, but instead of adding the price to the garment and the fabric, we've asked them if they would consume some of the shipping fees at times. They'll see an administration fee on there for a little bit, and they don't mind that. Like they say, anything within reason, nobody minds helping each other to get through the tough times, but they haven't argued about doing that at all. So every little bit helps, we find.
Right.
That's something we've done to try and that way we don't increase the cost, because some of the fabrics that we bring in, we purchased before the increase. So this is why we can hold that. And we won't capitalize on stuff because we have it there. We will use this to work with the companies. And they're seeing that, a lot of the new ones that come to us today. So that's one way of working with them. The other way is to have repair programs and do what you can to work with them. That way the bottom line for the end user is their dollars are going to be more valued at the end of the month.
Right. Ken, you're in the primary resource business on the aggregate side. What are you feeling as it relates to pricing, inflation, costs generally?
Unlike wood, which is common in the construction, everybody's building materials have gone up significantly. From the aggregate side, we've been fortunate to kind of keep our prices the same. Obviously certain materials costs have gone up. We've absorbed as much as we could, or a lot of our work is tendered, fixed price once the job is awarded. Some of our customers are seeing some sort of a sticker shock when they're tendering new projects. because our costs have gone up and we've had to reflect those. But we are a material supplier, but our supply chain as well has been challenging as well, especially in the electronics side of, as we know with your cars, all our heavy equipment are run by computers and technology. And so those parts, if you burn up a circuit board in a loader or something, it's really hard to source those parts. We've been really fortunate to work with our competitors in the industry because we're all in the same boat, and we have parts. We're exchanging parts with each other while we're waiting, and when we get our shipment, we give it back to somebody. So we've had to be creative on that supply chain. Tires are a real problem. I just ordered a loader and it got delivered without tires because the supplier couldn't get the tires, so I had to put used tires on it. So that's kind of funny.
So how did that relationship where you started trading with competitors? How did that come about? Was it an industry association meeting or something?
Well, we through the industry associations, we kind of know everybody, and but we're all in it together. Even though we're competitors, we're friendly competitors, and if we've needed a part, I've picked up the phone and called somebody that I've known through an association, or hey, by any chance, do you have this part? Or they've called me. So and we're happy to help each other. We all have to survive. It's for a lot of our employees. We're doing this as well. Is we're fortunate to keep people working, and we'll do what we have to do. So.
Yeah. So Murray, you said your New Jersey plant or facility had a sort of a steep decline. Are you feeling that starting to two things? Are you feeling that starting to come back? Secondly, I mean, how did you balance out that period? That must have been pretty challenging to figure out. I mean, I know you're a strong family business with a lot of good values. I mean, that must have been a challenge for the organization.
It was. We were able to keep everybody on through most of it. The United States had similar programs to Canada, but they've ended theirs now, and we have seen the business come back as New York City begins to open, and the United States economy is coming out of this quite strong. So we're seeing that happen. They also have a fair number of tariffs on products in that part of the world. So it does make for a more level playing field with Asia. In Canada, mentioned the shipping costs. A lot of products come from Asian countries to Canada, which makes it not very competitive. No tariff system in place in Canada, and it makes it very hard for us to sell any of those takeout products in Canada. But usually, a shipping container was between $3,000 and $5,000 normally. That still made the product. We couldn't compete in Canada. But now I heard last week shipping prices to Canada are around $15,000 from 3 to 5. So we're starting to pick up some Canadian orders again, albeit probably not for very long, but for a while. So we are seeing the business is coming back nicely. We've also taken some of our ice cream business, because a lot of the equipment can be converted. So we're able to pick up, some ice cream business in that facility as well.
It must have been a surprise for your organization. Obviously, I mean, the not just the pandemic, but as you said, I think you've got facilities in Texas, and they had that serious frost, and which exposed their weak electrical system. What kind of an impact did that have on you in Texas?
Basically shut down everything for at least a week. And it shut down, resin supplies, and it shut down a paper mill in Alabama. And so it did create, the only thing about it didn't put us further behind because the rest of the South was shut down too. So it just kind of put a pause for about 2 weeks. And they blamed us for the cold weather and the snow. But
That's right. So as we look to reopen, as things are starting to move more towards whatever is going to be happening next. Maybe you could talk a little bit about sort of how you may be doing things differently with any lessons that you've learned through the pandemic. Lise, why don't you start us off?
Lessons I have learned. Partnering with other companies that do the same thing we do. And like Ken was saying, I'll call them, they'll call me. I'm short in this. Can I buy some fabric from you? Or do you have these completed items in inventory? I'm short and my customer's screaming. Can you help me? And we do, and we help each other. The other thing is think positive. There's something good that comes out of everything. So it will come. We just don't know when. And
are you feeling your business is going to be coming back, or are you?
Oh, it will. It will. We're starting to see some of the things now. Jobs that we were working on. We're getting into ballistic blankets now as well. And we've done testing across the river and stuff for this. We finally got the orders for it. It's been a year.
So you've got your customer profile has changed a little bit. So do you have some new customers that you didn't have during that you didn't have prior to the pandemic, or
we do.
Just what they're asking for? Yeah.
No, we do, and it's more Canadian companies. They were so used to buying imports that now, like with the one gentleman, Murray, was saying, the importing fees and for shipping and stuff, they've tripled. And that's helping us out astronomically because of the cost. Like I said, they could buy something for $30 and I have to sell it for $50. So and with the shipping costs coming in, it's helping considerably. So companies we've tried to land before, just last week, I landed 2 new foundries in the Niagara region. I've been trying to get them for over 30 years. So that says, and they called me this time. So, but
yeah. So Ken, what about at Walker? I mean, obviously there have been a lot of lessons learned. Some of them maybe not even completely internalized at this point, as we're trying to figure out everything that's going on. But how do you expect to be doing business differently now that you've gone through the pandemic?
That's a really good question. That's the $10 million question of the year. Is what's the new normal look like? As everybody talks about. Definitely, there's been an evolution on how we do business. From our internally and externally, and but I think there's been everybody's been kinder because of the pandemic, and I would say that will flow through to your employees, plus through to your customers and through to your suppliers. I find that there's been a real team spirit and survival. And there's been some great lessons learned there. Like I said before, it's nothing for me to pick up a phone now and call a competitor and say, I need help, or can I help you? And which we always did sort of, but I think everybody's going to be much kinder and much more considerate of each other and their feelings. I think there's lots of learnings, and things will be different. There will be a transition going forward. I could take up your whole hour talking about theories on what things are going to happen. But
you talked about you mentioned right off the top that you saw it as an evolution, which is kind of progress. What would be some examples of the evolution that you think Walker's is going?
Well, how we do business, and I think we've come around to looking at employees working from home, and does that work? To maybe there's a hybrid of working at home and working at the office. Not all employees can do that. And being mindful of family situations, I think, is something that's really opened my eyes personally. And so I think there's a lot of things, and we will tackle those as we bring people back to work. I think we've got some challenges immediately on how things open up and what the definition of that is, and everybody has a different opinion, and we need to be respectful of all their different opinions on what does coming back to work look like. You know, I know my opinion would differ from some of my employees and even some of my peers. So there's a bit of a discussion to go around there, and I think we'll find good solutions to problems or conceptual ideas of what work looks like in the future. So
yeah. So Murray, would you characterize what you've gone through? I mean, obviously you're going through some. Well, actually, it sounds like a lot of turbulence, quite frankly. Some are really up, some are really down. So when you're trying to balance it out, would you characterize some of the lessons or some of the learnings that you've taken through this period as potentially an evolution for your organization?
I don't know if I'd call it an evolution or not, because we don't sit still too often, and we're always growing. So this growth is a little more substantial than other periods in our history, and not really in our control. So I would say that, you know, we need to move back towards more control in what we do. Learnings too. We're really short on people in West Niagara, and so we're working towards trying to, you know, figure out how to get more people into West Lincoln to work. So that's a project that we're doing on, so we can have a stable workforce. At any given time, I haven't seen the numbers yet for this week, but you know, we need anywhere between 25 and 40 people at any given time. That would give us a full staff. That's it, just in Smithville. So getting people back to work, you know, ending the programs sooner rather than later of support. For some folks that just, you know, feel they need to stay home. That's pretty important. And what Ken was saying too, I think we've learned as well. Before it was, you know, you work Monday to Friday, or you work your shifts, and that's that. You're expected to be here. I think we've probably become a little bit, I'm going to say, more humane of an organization, that we're considering, you know, lots of people with especially with the schools in and out and not knowing from day to day, being more flexible as an organization. And it's really helped our workforce as well.
Lise, what's your experience with your workforce?
And a good example is one of our staff here ended up being quarantined, and he worked in our CAD department where you cut the patterns on the electric tables and everything. And we went and purchased a laptop, had the information put into it, and he controlled that cutting table from his home on that laptop. So that's one example that we've done. Another one is I find the staff here work so effectively together, I guess is the only word I can use. They are so concerned about how everyone's doing. It's not a I am the one to be focused on. It's a we situation, which is the best way to make this work. And even the part-timers that we have that come in are like, call me when you need me, I'm available. And I find this is the attitude. And being a summertime, I didn't expect that. I was like, this is probably the last summer they're going to get, you know, that they can have it off. And they were like, no, call me when you need me. And they call us now as well. Which
so you don't have any workforce challenges right now in terms of attracting?
Oh, we do. We've gone through sewing agencies that are having students that were here on a student visa to get their education. And there's a program for them to stay here if they work for a manufacturing company. And we had everything lined up, but they didn't come in. They didn't show up.
Right.
So, and they didn't come in for the training. So other students that we had that were Canadian or immigrants, residents, permanent residents, we had assigned for 10 students to come in. We had them lined up for marketing, sales and sewing, and some wanted to get into fashion design, where this is perfect for something like this. And we had 10 of them all lined up, and because of COVID, the schools all said, nope, not happening, we're on lockdown. So we've been in a couple of situations, and we just say to people, just please have patience. So even when we're in a slow period, we try to keep the staff in, and those that can come in and work, because of lockdown, they have little children, they can't sew from home. And these machines are just way too heavy to slug around and bring to people's homes and leave them there. Somebody's going to get hurt. So we do the best we can with what we have. And I just went in this week and purchased more equipment for the additional staff that's coming in. We were getting lined up to have a medical department sewing in here to bid on the gowns and all this other area of clothing, a whole new division. We had everything almost ready to go, and then some things fell through. So what we did was we called in our mechanic and said, we can use that equipment over here. We need to just change some of the guts of the equipment. Go ahead and do it. Boom, it's done. So the machines I purchased for there, I knew I could modify if that didn't pan out. We're going into this area now, bomb blankets as well. So we're doing that.
So is your focus on sort of the I'm hearing you talk about a lot of new markets or a lot of new products. Is that just the way your company and as an organization behaves, or is this something that's new through the pandemic?
It's what we've practiced in the past, always looking for new ideas, new ways to work with the people. And we also have 2 patents pending right now. They should be final this year. So when those come on, they're going to hit the market. It's going to go boom. So we're looking forward to that too. But again, it's for the industry, and it can be used in, you have to think of what you can do and how many avenues you can do it. I mean, I would have never thought to get into bomb blankets before, but it was an idea that we were approached with. And then when I went and researched it and I seen what was out there and I looked what we were doing, I'm like, we're good. So we can do this.
So kind of new opportunities then, that sounds like that particular one at any rate was a customer that you may not have had, that may have bought offshore previously, and now all of a sudden they can't buy offshore, so they're looking around for people who can potentially make products. So are you getting other opportunities like that?
We are. The one company that heard about us, and they said, I'm not certain if this is right, but you make uniforms and bomb blankets? And I said, we do a lot of things. If it's with a fabric, we can do it. But I said, what we've done for this other company, we've had tested. And we know what this blanket can do. I need to know what your end result is to find out that if something does implode and explode and go outward, is that going to stand up to what you need to do? And they go, we don't know. We've been doing this for years. So I said, oh, okay. So we'll start from scratch. So that's where we're with this other company. And I just find where you're at is where I'm at, I should say. I like to spread out and see what else is out there. And it's exciting for the staff and the CAD department and everybody else, because it changes things up a bit. The excitement's there. We're doing something new. You know, they're looking forward to these new patents coming out, because one man has seen it compared to the women it was supposed to be for, and now the men want it, so it's unisex. So we try to be, this is where we're saying, you stay optimistic. You don't know where things are going to go or if it's going to be successful. You just hope, and you market it and you see where it's going to go. We do a lot of marketing, and we do a lot of promoting, and we do a lot of talking amongst each other. And we reach out to people too during the slow times and say, if you could do something new or have it made, what would it be? So you're opening their minds to, oh, Lisa, I haven't thought about this in forever. and it's like, think about it, see what we can do together.
So you sounds like you do a lot of you do a lot of research and development.
We do.
Is that just something that you do on your own, or do you look for the government for any of the assistance programs for R&D?
Right now, in the past, it's always been, I'm going to say 90% has been on our own. 10% has been through government R&D research. My chartered accountant is now telling me you have to go through R&D. I said, okay, because some companies won't even look at you if you don't have R&D background. And I'm like, okay, so let's promote that avenue now. So that's another option that we're looking at. So.
Right. So applying for SHRED funding and that kind of thing is
exactly
is a bona fide that gives you credibility.
Exactly.
Oh, interesting. So Ken, we just to get back into the workforce discussion, how have you found your workforce? Are you having problems getting people? Where are things at with walkers?
That has been one of our biggest challenges. There is definitely a workforce shortage at all levels, on the ground, laborers to skilled trades, to equipment operators, to administrative staff, to management staff. It's been a real challenge. It's been a challenge for us for a long time, and during the pandemic, it's just amplified it to a point that we have spent an awful lot of human resource time just trying to keep the workforce full, and we haven't been successful. So skills and workforce issues, and I've seen there's a Q&A about that from one of the mayors there, but it's a real challenge in Niagara. I also find it's a regional challenge for us, is that we're not as exciting as the GTA, so attracting young talent is tough. I guess Niagara is not a place for the young talented people that want to live here. Maybe you ask more senior people, find this is the place we want to live. But so it's been a real challenge for us. We've actually even had to look at our offices and where we recruit from. And so, we've opened up an office in Oakville to try to get some GTA talent on the administration and the management, and some creative talent. As Lee said, if we don't adapt and learn and find opportunities, and change, we're going to die. So we spend an awful lot of time and focus on that. And so attracting talent, young talent, and my brain as a baby boomer thinks differently than the new generations coming in of consumers, right, or employees. So it's been a real issue. And
how's the Oakville office work for you? Is it certain?
Well, we opened it up just pre-pandemic, and so it's sitting there. It's a beautiful office that's empty because everybody that's working there is working from home. And hiring people is a bit of a challenge, onboarding them, or even recruiting them on Zoom, and then onboarding them on Zoom has been a challenge as well. So whenever this is over, which is soon, looks like it's going to be soon, we're all going to be busy re-onboarding a lot of the employees that we've had to hire, or even get to meet them personally. So yeah.
So do you expect? I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here. The recruitment's a problem. Getting the talented people. It's been a perennial problem in Niagara. Marie, you were referring to it. You were referring to it as well. Do you think the more flexible work hours or time in the office may facilitate better recruiting then?
Well, we've had to accommodate that. We've hired some really talented folks, and I can speak of two individuals that report to me that were really talented. I'm really high on them. I think they're our future, and they came down to Niagara, and then and after 6 months said, I need to work somewhere else, or I'm going to go look for something somewhere else. So we've had to accommodate that. We've had to, the Oakville Health office has been a help, or we've allowed them to work a portion of their time from home so that that they can live in the GTA or something. So we've always had to be creative, and it's some of the things what I refer to as the evolution. You know, we have a facility up in Grey Bruce County this spring where I had to hire 60 people, and still to this, and we started recruiting in February. I still haven't been able to fill all the 60 positions. It's a tough market.
Yeah,
It is.
Murray at Standpack, I'm not sure how many jobs that you're dealing with that have that may provide some flexibility in terms of location. So I guess my question is, do you have many of those? And then secondly, if you do you find that, do you think that kind of flexibility might facilitate better recruiting?
Most of our administration, even prior to the pandemic, we started off with some baby steps in a certain number of days per month that a person could work from home or work from a different location. Even our, engineering folks and some of those types of people are able to work from home part of the time. So yeah, and I think that work-life balance is we're beginning to understand that now. We were always, traditionally, like, you were always here and that was all there was to it. And you can only work properly if you're sitting at your desk. And that's certainly changed. And some folks work better from home, and you recognize that. But we do worry about, and we don't have an answer for this yet, worry about our culture. And over time, our culture potentially, melting away a little bit. And that's important to us. Maybe it doesn't need to be, but we think it's important. And so we need to find perhaps some new ways to preserve that. Mm-hmm. I was concerned about our folks not communicating with each other, because, if I would come into the office and it's kind of a ghost town most days, you'll see a person here, a person there. Well, are they communicating, and are they becoming part of the family, or is that disappearing? I found out that most people are talking all day, every day on their computers back and forth to each other. So my fear that way, wasn't the right way to think about it.
Right. What about you, Ken? Obviously you guys feels like you've been forced to make some significant changes that will necessarily very likely change the culture or the dynamic within the organization. How's Walker looking at culture these days?
I agree with a lot of what Marie had said, and almost completely. The culture, that's our biggest fear as well. We feel that we have a unique culture, a family attitude for a big company, and with everybody working from home, I think that becomes difficult. I think of the new employees that we hired have not experienced it or don't really know people, so they're working in their tunnels, so to speak. I worry about there's a lot to be said about getting together at the coffee pot or at the water cooler or in the lunchroom, and getting to know each other better. I do worry, like Marie, that you lose the team atmosphere and everybody's working from home and become an I mentality versus then a we mentality. We all hate meetings, but to keep some of that together, we've had to have more meetings, I think, on Zoom, just to keep everybody connected and be mindful, especially when we have geographic offices. We have people doing the same roles geographically. We always made a point to bringing people together so that would happen, and we haven't been able to do that. So right. I do worry about the culture.
Yeah. So Lise, it sounds like where your revenue's been down, you've been at the same time, your client customer profile is changing. You're getting the new opportunities with some new products, and like some of the others, you're at the same time working more collaboratively, potentially with some competitors. It seems like there's a lot of movement on the culture side. What can you say about what you think is going to be an impact on the culture, maybe a little bit longer term for your company?
The culture part of it.
I guess the question is
culture would be. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess just the question is in terms of how the organization and its people congeal and function and work together as a unit, and how they operate. Do you think it's going to be a negative impact, a neutral impact, or a positive impact through the pandemic?
I would say there's some uncertainty with it because we've brought in some different cultures already into the company, and they weren't used to it. And I think it has to do with how I approach everyone with a new current situation coming aboard. And that helped when the new people came in and they looked and they said to me, everyone's so friendly. And I said, thank you. That's good to hear. And I thanked them when the people left. And they ended up moving back to their country. They decided they were too concerned about family over where they were from, and they needed to be there. So I left it at that. But for future, I think with today's day and age, it's going to be on how it's presented. And even then, some people they have a block and they have to see for themselves. It's just one step at a time, one day at a time. There's going to be different cultures. You take a look at Niagara Falls today, the amount of different cultures that are here, where before you just seen a few here and there sporadically, where today it's, widespread. So, and everybody's got a right to a good lifestyle. That's our way of thinking here. And there's a lot of people here from Europe and all over too. So it used to be just women here. Now we have a man, so.
so we're starting to run out of time. So I'll just kind of go around. Let's go around the room and talk about whether or not you as an organization are optimistic about the future, and where you see your organization going. Really out if you can push it out a couple of years in your thinking, or maybe even a little bit longer. Murray, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Well, one of the things future is very positive for us. We have some new things on the go that will take us to the environment. I haven't even touched on that yet. So many people's choices in what they consume and how they consume it, and their buying preferences, that's changing. So we have an awful lot of work going on in our R&D area and engineering area to basically change all of our products to fit into the future as far as the environment goes. So very exciting time.
Is that sort of to fit into the climate change piece, or a broader environmental perspective?
It has something to do with climate change, but a lot to do with recycling and lower landfills and things. Like a lot of our products are landfill now, so moving towards recycling on a lot of those things, or composting. And there's a whole bunch of work towards that. I've been reading and watching some polls lately. The pandemic is really going to, when we're out of it, I mean, we all want to go sit on a patio. We're allowed to now, 4 of us, but that we may not go back to the way we were, because people's habits changed. Before 50% of food was consumed outside the home. Now through the pandemic, it's been, 80 or 90%, and then, maybe a little bit. So some of that's not going to come back. So we may see, more people cooking at home. They may do it differently through the meal services and things like that. But so we're watching that carefully to see how that goes. So very optimistic.
Ken, what about Walker Industries? A, are you optimistic about the future, and C, and B, what do you see out a couple of years or maybe even 5?
We're very optimistic on many fronts. Sorry. Yeah, we're from the environment. Obviously, at Murray had said there are huge opportunities in getting green. There's many greener opportunities, and I think we absolutely have to do that. And with that becomes challenges. Energy from waste. We've been spending a lot of time in diversion. Landfills, I think, are not going to be completely gone, but the space is going to become more and more valuable, the landfill space. So we're going to have to divert an awful lot of energy from waste or recycling or and many alternatives. So I see there's a great opportunity there on the aggregates and construction. Obviously, being greener, there are huge opportunities, and as we, as the world is talking about, let's save the agricultural lands and woodlands and wetlands, so intensification is going to be more and more important. So that's going to take more aggregate, believe it or not. And then transportation systems, you can't build if you're going to go up, you need concrete and steel and those types of things. So, and I think there's huge opportunities for recycling in the construction material industry as well. There's huge opportunities in the workforce and how we operate today. I think we have learned a lot from this about work-life balance, but we also need to bring people together. And so I think there's a fine line and there's a real balance there that we're going to work on, and there's opportunities with that, to preserve the culture or whatever. And I think that's important to have a team environment where we're working together. So, I feel really positive all around. And I think supplies will become, materials in our supplies will become more efficient. Our transportation and delivery systems, I think we've learned a lot. So I think there's huge opportunity all around. And so very positive.
Yeah. So Lise, are you optimistic about the future, and what do you see a couple of years out, or maybe 5?
A couple years out, I do see changes. I agree with Ken and Murray. Those changes are going to be coming about. Everyone sees that with the economy and stuff. I do see more Canadians buying from Canadians, and I think they're enjoying the interaction better than from what they've had in the past, where this is what you get and this is what you got. And, whereas today they're more optimistic working with the Canadian people than they were in the past. We're being given different opportunities from people. They'll call us up and say, I have this, can you source this for me? Instead of going through their US or their Chinese connection, it's Canadian. And we're doing a lot more quotes these past 2 months, 3 months. It's just been steady. So, and when it comes to getting help for the new programs that we're bringing in, we went through the universities and the company that we purchased this new ERP program we're bringing in. And the girl works in Toronto. She does everything for us there. She says, I'll come and see you once a week and see what's new and what's coming up, and to see if you like what's being done. And if you don't, then we can change it. But we do a lot of stuff virtually with her. And we're doing the same thing as what Ken is doing. So you really learn to be creative, where you think outside the box today instead of staying in that comfort zone. Everyone got comfortable in their little cubby hole, I think, before, is where now you're being taught to reach out for and grab and work more with people. It's not just set in like my mother and when she was running the company. This is the way it's done here, and it's going to stay that way. That's not the way it is today. So you have to be more open-minded.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, everybody. That's all the time that we have. I would like to thank you for participating in the manufacturing session on Niagara's Road to Recovery. I'd like to thank Murray Bain and Lise Morrow and Ken Lusician for your participation. And next week, which I think is our final session, we will be featuring the not-for-profit sector, and our panelists will include Stephen Chuang from the YMCA, Mark Carl from Habitat for Humanity, Elizabeth Zimmerman from the YWCA of Niagara Region, and David Vanderstein from the Fort Youth Center in Grimsby. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye. Nice meeting everybody.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Enjoy your day.